I'm doing a 3-day backpack in the Mount Rogers National Recreation Area's crest zone, starting at the Scales Trailhead and going into the Little Creek Wilderness, an area of high mountains, open meadows, and of course the wild ponies. Well, the road up to the trailhead, straight ahead, is not a good one, which that sign there probably indicates. I've only driven up it once, but I'm going to give it another try. In places, the road is pretty good, but in other places, the road is terrible, like here, mainly rocks. And you definitely need high clearance four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And hopefully my Subaru Outback will be up to it. We shall see. Well, it turns out the road is mainly rocky. Not many good sections. Worst road I guess I've ever driven on. It's taken me well over a half an hour to go just a few miles. Rocky, often there's creeks running across the road, like right here. Well, I'm just about there. There's a fenced enclosure on top at the trailhead that you can drive into, and I think it's to keep the horses and so forth out. Well, before starting hiking, I'm going to have a lunch Subway sandwich I picked up in Abington. Well, it's around just a bit after 1, and I'm heading up the trail. This is the Scales actual campground. Here's a GPS track of my route on a USGS topo map, starting at Scales at top left. Red is day 1, blue is day 2, and green is day 3. I have a bit of climbing to do. Start out here, obviously. Up to the top there. Stone Mountain. This is kind of an amazing view from the AT on Stone Mountain of the high country of the Mount Rogers National Recreation Area. The Grayson Highlands State Park is over there. And that ridge there is Wilburn Ridge, which is kind of the spine of the heart of the high country. Quite a place, and beautiful today. Lots of flowers. There's Mount Rogers, highest mountain in Virginia. It's totally forested on top, so no great views. Lots of grass, open grassy areas, and some just totally open. But unfortunately, it's growing up. The ponies and some cows are here to try to keep it open, but the vegetation is winning, I think, and over the years, it's getting more and more grown over. There's some wild turkeys up ahead. First wild turkeys I've ever seen here. This is literally a field of goldenrod. Beautiful, blowing in the wind. The ponies are much better as far as where they poop than other hooved creatures that poop everywhere, like particularly cows and horses. They pick these little spots and tend to come back and poop in the same spot. Well, you can see a huge U-shaped route of the AT here. The AT comes up from the other side of the Wilburn Ridge there. It used to go along Pine Mountain there to Scales, which is over there, but now it makes this big U and comes up, goes along Wilburn Ridge out to Grayson Highlands State Park over that way, and then comes along ridges down below this ridge here to a trail shelter, and then up and to right here, the trail that I'm on. And out and over the south peak of the Stone Mountain, and then down the other side to Scales. At this point, I'm leaving the open meadow areas. The trail is leaving them, and heading down into the woods off of the peaks of Stone Mountain. I'm heading into the Little Wilson Creek Wilderness, which I'll be in most of the rest of the trip, I guess. And the fence is to keep the ponies in and hopefully graze and keep the grassy fields clear. Bear Pen Trail, which goes down this way. But here's a very nice spring. Wouldn't be a bad place to camp for sure. Coming out from under that tree. Here's what horses do to trails and why horses are not looked with favor on often by hikers. This trail is a horse trail, unlike the AT, which doesn't allow horses. And it's just a morass, just mud, basically all it is. Mud and flowing water. I'm doing a solo backpack in the Mount Rogers National Recreation Area. And have a great weather forecast for, actually it's for a week, no rain. And moderate temperatures. I'm started at the Scales Trailhead, which was really hard to get to. And on the AT ways, now I'm on the Bear Pen Trail, and then the Cobab or something trail down to a campsite that I've wanted to try after seeing it on a YouTube video by Brian DeLay. Another junction, the Bear Pen Trail, used to go straight ahead, but there's a sign out there saying travel is not advised because it's so much deep mud. And here I turn right on the Big Wilson Creek Trail, but I'm to the trail junction finally. Cabell Trail that I'm going on turns left. Well, the Cabell Trail so far is pretty good. Not too steep up or down. And finally, Little Wilson Creek, and looks like I can mock hop. I was wondering whether I was going to have to take my boots off or not. Well, I got one boot wet crossing back there, and I think this is the campsite. Yeah, it definitely is. Really nice place based on Brian's videos, and now looking at it. Lots of grass, open area, fire ring there, lots of tent sites. Well, this is a great site. I'm not sure I've ever seen as perfect a place for a tent as right there, just this side of my pack. It's perfectly level, grassy, creeks off to the right, not very far, like 40 feet or so. And up here, the fire ring, birds chirping up in the trees. Man, this is just about perfect. And a site for sore legs as far as I'm concerned. It's almost 6 o'clock. I've got water, tent up, ready to start cooking dinner. And there's where I'm cooking, and just above where I'm sleeping. Really glad I came here, but I'm really tired. Being almost 80 and having spinal stenosis and CIDP and knee arthritis, that makes for slow going, and my legs are really sore right now. But I made it, and hopefully the next day or so will go okay too. I've got it all by myself. There's nobody else here. Indeed, I only saw, once I started hiking, I only saw one guy day hiking on the AT. And down in here, this gets very little use, I think. Dinner is cooking in this bag, of course. Never tried this before. Farm to Summit white bean potato stew. Well, it's 7 o'clock and I've finished eating. Got a fire going that won't burn too long unless I get some more wood. But I'm going to be in the tent by 8 o'clock. It's getting cool, actually. Well, I had a little surprise last night. The forecast was totally no rain, totally sunny for the next several days. But I had rain last night.
and not hard. And it's still dripping down from the trees right now, but it looks pretty sunny outside. But there is on top, if you can see it, drops all over the tent fly. I started getting up around 7:30 and no sun, but thankfully it is going to be a sunny day, looks like. And around 8 o'clock you can just see the sun starting to come up over there in the east. Around 8:30 the sun is finally hitting my tent. I'm still sitting in the shade and just about to eat breakfast. Oatmeal with dehydrated strawberries and hot chocolate, and later a breakfast bar. I have to wonder if this was a homestead at one time. There's all these openings and cleared areas throughout the woods here, but don't see any chimneys or foundation rocks or anything like that, so I don't know. There are my tent fly and ground cloth drying in the sun, and there's the campsite. It's around 9:45 and I'm heading out, leaving this incredibly nice campsite behind me. It was around a little below 60 maybe this morning when I got up, so maybe mid-50s last night, but it's almost 70 right now, so it's getting a lot warmer as I leave the perfect campsite. The trail starts out incredibly muddy and rocky. Hopefully it'll get a little better. I'm on the Cabell Trail. The trail from the camp goes almost straight up the side of the mountain. Very rough, very muddy from horses and rocky. And then at this point, after, I don't know, less than a half a mile for sure, it reaches an old logging or maybe railroad grade and starts traversing out the side of the mountain. This is clearly an old railroad grade. You can see it's built up on that side and that side. If it was a logging road, they would simply have gone around, cut into the mountain here. At some time in the past, this was a grassy field. See all the grass? That's a remnant of a big open field, probably. Another great example of horse abuse. This is just a quagmire caused by horses. Although there are the muddy places caused by the horses, this trail has got a lot of very nice, very level track along the old railroad grade, like right here. Dry and level. Can't beat that. It looks like a good mast year with lots of acorns along the trail, some big, some little. Well, I'm to my first trail junction. There's the trail sign. I've been on the Cabell Trail, which continues on that way somewhere. But now I'm on the First Peak Trail, which goes up that way. And actually goes all the way to Scales. It goes over First, Second, Third Peaks and by the Stone Mountain Peak. This is a difficult trail, not too steep, but it is climbing as it climbs up to First Peak, somewhere up there. But nothing but rock. Well, I just came down this trail, and right over there, about this, not much more elevation than I am, is First Peak. And then the trail continues on down to a little gap where I'd originally planned to camp, but I may change my mind. Hopefully there's water there. Well, there are no signs for water, so I walked out the Bear Pen Trail a ways, which is right here. Maybe I went 2/10 of a mile. But right down there, I noticed some water. Well, and it appears there's a spring here and flowing water. So hopefully I can find a place deep enough to get water. Spring is right there. But amazingly, there's no real signs of people coming down here to get water. Looking out on another just about perfect campsite, particularly since I found water over that way. And I also walked down maybe a little less than 2/10 of a mile. There's a trail goes that way, to the east, I guess, but no water that way. Around 2:15, I'm heading up the first peak trail and leaving this great campsite between first and second peaks. And I've decided to do a dry camp tonight. I've got my water bag filled in my pack. It's kind of heavy. It is heavy. And I'm going about a little less than a mile and going to dry camp, a water source between second and third peaks, I guess it is. I've got a really good climb up to second peak, I think it is next. This is the final push, really steep and rocky, up to the top of second peak. Getting closer to the summit of the second peak. This pack is much heavier with the water and tough climbing. And I think here's the second peak summit. There's some open areas. I could camp here, I guess, and maybe on out here a view even, unlike first peak. Yeah, right there's a great tent site. As I descend the north side of second peak, there's third peak. This is the gap between second and third peaks. It's around 3:30, and after looking around a bit and walking on down the trail a short ways, this is my campsite for tonight. The grass everywhere, so lots of perfect places, and right here is what I've landed on. A bit before 5, I've got the tent up. Water is purified, and got my stove set up here, and going to start cooking in a little while. It's awfully early, but I'm kind of hungry. And a couple of guys just passed. They were day hiking, and they were amazed that my Subaru got up that bad road. And I saw one other guy today day hiking, and then one guy right near the trailhead yesterday on the AT. And that's it. So only 4 people over 2 days. That's pretty good. Here's a topo map of my route on this trip, starting at Scales up in the left corner there. Follow the AT down to here, then over on the Bearpin Trail, which is not recommended from there on, although I met a guy who was going to hike it, a day hiker, one of the 4 I've seen. Then I think the Big Wilson Creek Trail down to there, which is the Little Wilson Creek. Then the Kebab Trail up to my campsite last night, right there on Little Wilson Creek. Great campsite. Then continued on the Kebab Trail all the way over to here. And there I got on the first peak trail, which I followed up over beside the first peak, and then over the very top of the second peak, and I am camped right in there in the gap between second and third peaks. So tomorrow I'd only have to go from here over third peak, then over Stone Mountain and back to Scales. The grass around this campsite is incredible. It's almost like a park. Dinner tonight is something I hadn't tried before. Thai style pad Thai. Ramen noodles in a pad Thai style broth. And I'm actually eating that right now, and it's pretty good. And then later, the main entree is from Fernwin Food Company, Southwest Stew in Portland, Oregon. Sun is getting ready to set in a little while, and it's really beautiful. This grass, it's got little shafts of light on it here and there, but just a perfect place and very quiet. There's a few birds, and that's really it. It's after 7, and sun is set. There's still some light up there, and it was so quiet here. I am listening now, though, to some Kate Wolf on my phone before I get in the tent, and that'll be pretty soon. This site is just incredible. All these beech trees and all this grass, and perfectly flat. Again, it only lacks water, of course. Started getting up around 7:15, and by 7:40 I can just barely see the sun coming up over there. So it won't be long. And amazingly, in spite of the forecast, it rained just a little bit last night. I've got the tent fly drying as the sun is coming up even more, and really nice, the streaks of light on this beautiful grass. It's almost 9 o'clock, and I'm heading up the First Peak Trail to the Scales Trailhead, leaving behind this beautiful campsite behind me, all the grass and the beech trees. Really, really nice. Not very cold this morning, and last night wasn't too bad. It was down around 50, just a little below 50 when I checked it this morning. And pretty soon I'm going to be warm because I'll be going uphill to the top of Third Peak. And then down again, and actually down the rest of the way. Up the trail just a short ways, it opens up just a bit. Even though it doesn't go over the top, there's still some steep climbing, like right here, on a very rocky trail. Somewhere up in there, I think the way I'm looking, and the camera's looking, is the top summit of Third Peak. It's all grown up, and of course no views. Here's a fence and gate designed to keep the ponies on the far side there, where it's mainly open, and they can hopefully keep the balls open. Right over there is a sign for the Little Wilson Creek Wilderness, which I'm leaving now, and which is mainly forested. So just after the gate, it opens up. As I go over the summit of Stone Mountain. And shortly should be able to see the Scales Trailhead and the rest of the high country of the Mount Rogers area. Well, here's an incredible view from not far from the Stone Mountain summit. Nice big rock there, and in the far distance, that's Wilburn Ridge. Everything in between there and here is the high country, and there is the summit of Stone Mountain, not far to it from here, maybe a football field. And back around is the way I came, or starting with 3, 2, and 1 peaks that way. You know you're in pony country when you see that.
I thought I might not get to see the ponies, but here they are. Only two of them I see right now. My GPS tells me I'm almost standing on the top, the summit of Stone Mountain, which is just an incredible place, and the views over there, those evergreen trees are a nice backdrop, goldenrod all over, and a lot of cleared area up here with a trail going out that way. All the way around, way over there, of course, is Wilburn Ridge again, and the Pine Ridge Trail to the right of it. And continuing around, more evergreens in the distance. For some reason, the best trail of the entire hike is right here, grassy. I don't know why the horses haven't chopped it up like they have the rest of the trail, but because this is a horse trail here too. But there's grass on the trail tread most of the way from Stone Mountain back there down to the trailhead at Scales, which is straight ahead. Well, after about 8 miles of hiking, I made a big loop, and down there is the Scales trailhead. In addition to the ponies, more recently, the Forest Service has brought in some cows, which are doing their part, I guess, in keeping the grassy balls clear. At about 1.7 miles and 10:45, I am to the Scales enclosure, which is very different. Before there was only one other vehicle. Of course, it's Saturday, but it's full of vehicles and mainly campers. And here come the ponies to greet me. Five of them. Heading up to the high country. The access road up to Scales is not any better going down, of course. Maybe worse because of the rain we had. There's more water. How you doing?
Appreciate it.
I'd rather be on a horse right now myself. This road is terrible.
What?
I'd rather be on a horse right now. This road is terrible.
I would too. I'll go down here. That's rough.
Right. About 10 horses came up the road. Well, I'm just about to the main highway, and that is the single worst road I've ever driven, and this is the last time. I've only done it once before. I'm going to do it. Lucky I didn't damage the car, probably. It's only about 4 miles long. It took me, 40 minutes, 45 minutes to drive it. The highest speed I ever got was 15 miles an hour, but it was usually around 5 miles an hour or less. Really, really bad road, but a lot of people are doing it. I met those horses going up. I met a couple of regular SUVs. I don't know whether they were all-wheel drive going up, but here I am, and good driving from here on.